all systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the Monday Night Football Showdown show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Got Hoopster back from a quick piss. Title with me, as always. I'll set the roll, bring it in for you guys. Going to break it all down. We'll go through captains, ownership, roster construction. Got the Jerry Jeudy revenge game. My boy Dwayne was on the takedown breakdown earlier. Shout out MYG fan 56. Reminded us Jameis at altitude. That's interesting. You know, that could go one of two different ways, I think. But Hoopster just emptied the bladder, it looks like, on his way back in. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Yeah, went a little longer than anticipated. Usually I have time as soon as you hit that button to go and come back. And, you know, I was a little tight on time, but we're here. Pretty interesting game yesterday. I mean, big day in the community. A lot of massive wins. The tweet went out, and some of those numbers were very, very impressive. $100 into 100,000 was the highlight of the day yesterday, but a lot of other very solid wins. And, you know, the content was on point. People were able to parlay that into, you know, solid, and in some cases, probably life-changing money, which you like to see. And we're going to keep that momentum going tonight. I mean, it's, a lowish total, but I think in terms of showdown, it's rather appealing, this game. I mean, that's the thing with these Browns games. Even if they're underdogs or not projected to score a lot, you know what you're getting from our boy Jameis. So we'll talk through it all and, see if we can get back in the winner's circle here tonight.
Yeah, I think it was a good one to call out. Like you said, that's the thing. It's not really about the game or the score, or the team totals. All that's going to be a result and product of what we see the winners and people end up on, hopefully us and our community. But it's a fun one for fantasy for sure. Anytime you got Jameis at the helm. Title, bring you in, man. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Doing well. I just cannot stop thinking about how I throw it over to me about Russell Wilson. I say, yeah, that man doesn't have no 400-yard upside. Buddy drops 400 in the mouth. So come on. That's why we always talk about, like, come on. Anyone that thinks they know what's going to happen or pretends they know ahead of time, like, this dude is the guy today, not this guy. That's why we preach, find a process, all that. My process was dust yesterday. I got to maybe make a little tweaks. But, yeah, I mean, fun day of football. And shout out Evan Ingram and the rest for not ejecting him. But, man, that was a dirty hit for sure. Shout out Ingram for stepping up for his teammate.
Yeah, our boy Shaloub went back into the vault and found another video. That same dude, like elbow. It was like a Roshan Johnson back in the, like it was a different game, obviously. And Roshan wasn't even in the game. And this guy hops up out of the huddle and just elbows him in the face. And the same dude that does it again. So just hate to see that. And I'm still trying to fight people. Like the commentators one time outside with them was like, buddy, don't just get to the sideline, get to the tunnel. Cause you know, you're headed there anyway. Just figure it out and move on, talking shit to his coach and everything. Just the worst to see. This was the best to see. Who brought it up, man? But the nation celebration this week was a fun one. 100K for Steve Jam right here. Said, holy shit, I can't believe it. LFG, my first bank. Thank you guys so much for the great content. I don't say much here, just quietly grind and try to improve my process. That old school avatar, it's been the one. Title got the hat on today with it too. I went back to it and had a good week, couple good weeks. So it is that avatar is the one to get. You can go to shipitnation.com, get the logo, but the hashtag SHIPIT for 100K said time to get it going. So $100,000 there, $92,000 for Kenny, our boy Kenny W, 1732 back in the mix. We had 50K in college, 20K. Shout out to our guy LSU Nick in college, bounced right back from a $2,500 stat correction. Said nobody cares, work harder. Give me 10x that almost the next week and ships it for 20K. No stat correction this time. Some huge ROI, 244 to 12K, 129 to 77. 385 to 5. Too many to name, tons of 1,000 plus, but you can still get in on the action. We extended the Black Friday to Cyber Monday. All the jokes I made about the emails you're getting, your inboxes are filling up. Today's the number one day for unsubscribing from email lists for me because it's shit I forgot I even subscribed to, and they all got a Cyber Monday deal. We didn't hit you twice. We got it here. The nice price, though, $99, rest of season for football, $129 with Shiptimizer if you guys want to check it out. So get over to the site. If you want to just do the all access pass and get involved in some of the other stuff, NBA, all the other sports that we've got, You can also use BF50 and get $34.50 or $49.50 if you want Shiptimizer. And somebody asked yesterday, can I see how Shiptimizer works? You can, completely free tutorials. And then, of course, you also get the stone. So we'll start with that. But Hoopster, any grand scheme overview, anything else you want to add there for this slate before we get into it?
No, as I said in the opening, we've had some crappy showdown games, but like this is different. Even with a low total, I think there's a lot to digest, a lot of playable pieces. We have one big injury news with Tillman being out. He's kind of been wide receiver one or not necessarily one or maybe 1A with Jerry Jeudy, so he's out. And I don't know. I like this slate quite a bit, to be honest with you. I like what I've seen from the Broncos. Pretty easy to predict what they want to do. And then with the Browns and Jameis at the helm, a lot of different options. So excited to talk through this one.
Jameis Jamari stacks as the Browns thrash the Broncos. Is that going to be the opening line here? We're going to put it all together, but they're already talking about that in the chat. If you guys want the logo too, Hoop talks about this all the time. Free to support. The like button's free. The subscribe button's free, which did we hit the 9,000? I didn't even check it before the show hopped on here because we do got that giveaway coming. But yeah, if you want a logo, you can just go over to the site, hit logo, save, upload, ship it. This is the one they're talking about right now that's hot. This is the hot logo right here. Matter of fact, I'm putting the hat on too right now. I'm changing it over.
There we go.
Oh, and we're all set for this right now. So,
might have to bring that puppy back.
What's that?
So might have to bring that puppy back as well.
Yeah,
I had a terrible run out yesterday. Terrible.
What was your run out, Hoop? Tell us.
I had prior to that, so I was winning. It wasn't like it was top 10 in the millie, but it was in everything else. It was like winning the slant thing. I was winning all the secondary non-millie maker contests before. It was right before the Bryce Young march down the field situation. So if that game just ends, I would have had a massive day. And of course, he goes down, gets the job done. And it was crazy because I had a ton of hit, like way over the field on Bryce Young. Talked about it on the show. But it's pretty dirty. You go from winning a ton to breaking even. That's not a lot of fun, but it's the name of the game.
The nut worst. Yeah. When that happens in the run out, someone said, I want that hat. That's there as well. You go shop merch, you're good to go. But let's get into it. Title, I'll kick it over to you. Hoop gave his grand scheme overview. And, I think it's a fun one too. I always say if I like or hate a slate, I definitely love this one. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go. And I think there's going to be very common roster constructions that we can try and exploit. So I'll kick it to you first. What's your sort of grand scheme overview? Bo Nix has really been dealing too. And now you get Bo Nix back and forth with Jameis Winston. So how do you see this thing playing out?
Yeah, I'm excited. What I love most about it for DFS is just the plethora of options at a lot of these positions on both sides. Like right away, you look at the Browns, Chubb and Ford, two guys that, depending on the game script, you can see complete different usage. Jeudy, Elijah Moore, obviously great plays. No Cedric Tillman. So it looks like Thrash, he was the one that took over for Tillman when he went down. Looks like he's going to be wide receiver 3. But at the end of the day, who knows for sure? I mean, Tillman got hurt a little late in that game. The guy played 12 snaps. That's how I'm going to go about it. That's how the industry is going to go about it. But who knows at the end of the day about that? Tight end, both Njoku and Akins on the field, run some 12 personnel. Plenty of options right there. Brown side, Broncos, there might even be more. All three of those running backs, Estime, McLaughlin, Javonte, get work, Sutton, Valet, Mims, Lil Jordan, Troy Franklin, all those dudes get work. Josh Reynolds might be back today, so good luck in that. And then tight ends, they run 3 of them as well. So what I love is there's not just some of these spots, like the Falcons, Kyle Pitts, Ray, Mooney, Bijan, Drake, move on with it. Both these offenses have a lot of different ways, and I think how you think the game script goes, especially with the Chubb Ford stuff, will dictate roster construction and builds that way.
Man, I forgot. You just reminded me my enemy is on this slate. Little
Yes.
Jordan Humphreys in the building. So, oh no, I got to think about it. I might have to jam his ass at captain tonight and just see how that looks and hope to get some payback on it. But Hoop, that's your boy, right? LJH. He's
It is, yeah.
This is the spot to play him. It's showdown.
Yeah, 100% it is, and I can't wait to chat about him this afternoon. And it's the one situation where I'm going to be able to talk about him. You guys aren't going to be able to make fun of me and ban his name from conversation. So it feels good.
No, Title was already poking a few holes, saying, "What if we get Reynolds or anything like that?" So shout out to our guy Takedown, always in here. Appreciate. Says I'll be doing my Christmas shopping on the site. People ask me at the gym, "What is SHIPIT?" I tell them, money-making machine website.
Money-making machine. I like that.
I like that call. Yeah, it's just a print fest, a printer. So love to see that. I don't have any extra thoughts to what you guys are bringing up, but I do think that's what makes this slate interesting is there is different ways to go. Like you said, the Judy stuff and then thrash stuff on the Brown side. The running backs title, I thought you made a huge point there, which we'll get to that position of like Ford still has to be in the mix at 5,000 less than Chubb, but we also still have been waiting for the big Chubb game if there's going to be one coming back and whatnot. And then on the other side with the Sutton stuff, right? I want to see how that goes because he's just been so popular even on main slates. I can only imagine it's going to keep creeping up when it gets to a showdown slate like this. And I think he's going to be pretty popular up top. And then we got the stone up. You can see the grades. I mean, one of the interesting things to me is the Browns have not been very good against the run. It is in Denver. They are home favorites. You know, there is that opportunity there. And if it's going to be Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton up top, and we're going into captains in a second anyway, I mean, I have to have some interest in these running backs. I know it's split up a little bit there, but I think there is still going to be interest from me on that side. But Hoop, I'll start with you. Talk to us about your captains, man. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so I mean, Bo Nix has been really good. There's rushing upside. The one thing on the slate, the pricing is very soft. I mean, the most expensive guy is Sutton at 10-2. So Bo Nix comes in at 10, then Jameis Winston at 96. So I'm definitely interested in Jameis potentially playing from behind and Bo Nix. So to me, both quarterbacks are going to be in play for me today. Sutton has been really, really good with Nix, very steady with upside. He's been 21, 26, 19, 15, 30, been one of the more consistent wide receivers all season long, and he's showing the upside. So I want to be there, the 96 for him, or 10-2 for him. But after that, it gets somewhat difficult. I mean, Jerry Jeudy I'm cool with at 9K. He's been relatively solid. He's flashed some upside as well coming off, he's been steady too. I mean, 13-14 has a 29 fantasy point game and 14.5. But after the quarterbacks, after Sutton, after Jeudy, it gets a little bit difficult for me in terms of guys that I potentially want to play. Maybe Njoku at 8-4, I think is in play a little bit. Big upside, multiple touchdown upside, can certainly get there. Interested in him. If I'm going to go anywhere else, it would potentially maybe be some of these other Browns wide receivers. I got to see like when I go in and build, but for me, the ones that definitely stand out are the quarterbacks, Sutton, Jeudy. Maybe can make the case for Javonte Williams, but really hasn't had like a big game, maybe just one big game all season. McLaughlin gets some work. Is he what's his price tag?
4,800.
4,800. So yeah, he gets some work as well. So it does take away from Javonte. So for me, my main focus is going to be the quarterbacks. It's going to be Sutton. It's going to be Jeudy, and then I might take a look at some of these other Browns pass catchers, maybe Njoku, potentially Elijah Moore. But it's like a core four for me, and then I'm going to see when I build, like, do I need to add on? Do I need to add more pieces? And then that's when I'll start introducing some of those other guys, and I'd probably go to the Browns pass catchers first. So that's kind of my initial thoughts at the position, but I really, really like Bo Nix and I really like Cortland Sutton. I'm guessing they're probably going to get a lot of ownership though. So, so we're showing Bo Nix at 26% captain ownership. Yeah. I mean, the reason that's there is because the salary is very, very soft. 10K. It's easy to play him up there. Winston only at 10, so maybe that makes sense, like getting overweight on Winston where we know a lot of people are going to be going to Bo Nix. I guess maybe this Valet, I don't know, the pronunciation. I'm sure someone in the chat has it. Probably don't mind him either. Like he's actually been pretty solid, and Nix has been looking to him quite a bit. Just wanted to pull it up. Yeah, 9 targets last game. So yeah, he's a guy I could throw in there. Well, it's going to be the quarterbacks and pass catchers though for me, long story short.
Yeah, I'll go to you in a sec here, Ted. I will say just a couple thoughts leading off of that because I'm going to do what I usually do and try and look for ways like, I just go against the grain because they make perfect sense. Everything Hoop just said is the reason these are the best plays on the slate. I will probably have to be underweight on Nix and Sutton. I'll use it to get overweight on Winston. And I'm actually going to play and advocate for this today. Playing Broncos D and Will Lutz will both be a captain for me today. I just think it's going to be a day to get unique at captain for me. I talk about this in my slate plan over at SHIPIT Nation when I'm doing this stuff. And the amount I can come down on Bo Nix and Sutton and even Jeudy, if he continue, again, he's not showing steam right now, but I feel like it's going to just get steamed up a little bit. I'm fine with those being popular for good reason, but I'm going to try and move it around to some of these other spots. And I think Broncos D at home, it still makes sense. They're a 6-point favorite. It's Jameis Winston on the road. Like, this could be a bad scene. So I'm actually usually not for that. Starting the show off bad hoop, I apologize, but that's one time I feel like it's actually welcome. And like I said, it's weird. You don't see the Broncos D getting any steam today, especially up top. It's like 2% and haven't seen it anywhere get talked about really. So, Title, I'll kick it to you on that note, but probably not as high on the main 3 captains as everybody else tonight. I'm going to look to get different via the captain spot.
Yeah, I'm more like, I like the Browns a lot more than the Broncos captain. Seeing Bo Nix and Sutton at these ownerships, it's so much easier to get overweight on Jameis, Judy, Elijah Moore. I'm definitely playing. David Njoku, I'm definitely playing. Jameis can sling it everywhere. Like, the Moore price tag, you can put in a Judy captain, drop Judy down to Moore, etc. So the Nick Chubb stuff, I've been debating. Last time they were on the showdown slate on Thursday, it was Hoop and I. It was the Steelers, an awful matchup. He was literally looking at the same ownership, like 2%, really good rushing D. Chubb hasn't been great, fell in the box twice and was on the winner. They were underdogs in that game too. If you flip it, and just like the Browns beat the Steelers, if the Browns beat the Broncos today, Nick Chubb at 2% own or 3% own at captain, second best touchdown prop on the slate, 20 rushing attempts in the past 2, I believe. 2%, like, I get 5, I can get double. So I think I'm going to be playing Chubb. I know I will be playing Javonte Williams. He's one of my favorite captains on the slate. Leverages Bo Nix, leverages Cortland Sutton, best touchdown prop on the slate at plus 130. And I was looking at like Valet too. I mean, Javonte's receiving or receptions, 2.5 juice on the over. Valet 3.5, the same juice. So if I'm getting a running back that'll touch the ball more on the ground, has similar reception upside according to the props, I think he can get there in a variety of different ways. Again, can catch the ball, his best touchdown prop on the slate at plus 130. And finally, we've seen the last 2 weeks, he has, dominated the rushing room because the other guys, McLaughlin's still working in, Estime's still working in, but he's doubled up both of them, or 38-20 on McLaughlin, finally playing over 50% of snaps. Again, it's not a true, who do we talk about? Like Pollard without Spears and some of these running backs. Chase Brown, who we talked about. It's no Chase Brown usage, but 55% at this ownership with all the leverage it gets me, I absolutely love. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to go Valet because I like so many of these other guys. I think he's totally fine, but when we get to that wide receiver room, again, Lil Jordan going to get on the field, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. We have to be on the lookout if Josh Reynolds gets activated as well. So long story short, love Jameis, love Javonte Williams. Judy, Moore, Njoku, I'll be overweight, and I think I'm going to be under on Bo and Sutton just because I think that's over-owned on a slate where I could see so many of these guys getting there. So, yeah, similar to you. But, yeah, you'll get 1% owned on defense and kicker. I won't be doing it, but I get it.
Yeah, Lutz at home could just be, booting him in. Our guy Jordan says, what if it's 5-8? That can happen too, yeah. So you never know how the game's going to go. Again, I'll be building for a couple different scripts myself, but I really like your call on Javonte and busting out the props to match it. That always gets me excited. I know Hoop was talking about yesterday. He was taking some from you, getting some from you. When we got those, makes me feel even better about it. And I like the Njoku call. Like I'm with, the Judy, the Moore, the Winston stuff more than the Nick Sutton stuff. But yeah, go to Njoku. Why not? And I think, Lee does a great job explaining this here. Hoop, I'll come back to you. But it's all the value, right? When you got a guy like Thrash, do you have the dry run, Hoop, maybe? Or I can pull it up if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I did it. I got it here. Let me
Yeah, sorry about that. I meant to have it up early, but if you've got it, I was just going to say that is, while you're pulling it up, that's to Lee's point. Once you have a guy like Thrash making everything else work, that's where you're going to just have it natural that it's going to make it even more likely that Nix or Sutton or one of those guys is going to end up top. But I just need to have one of them fail and have it be a little bit more balanced build. And then I can get, good stuff up top that way too. So, and how I actually think the game's going to play out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's kind of what you expected. Like 60, you got 63% Bo Nix and then 20% Sutton. So all but 17% of ownership is going to those two guys. So now seeing this, like to me, like for what I want to do tonight, probably more Browns passing game and hope that's it. Maybe more Jameis, more Njoku, more Judy, more Elijah Moore is kind of the route that I'll probably be looking to go. I'm going to play Nix. I'm going to play Sutton, but getting overweight on those sort of guys to me makes sense. Let's go to the flex and see if we're getting anything crazy. So Sutton, 80%, obviously. Judy, Williams, Nick, Winston, Nix, Broncos D 32. So this is pretty straight up, nothing crazy. Where's the Thrash dude? Yeah, so Thrash is only showing up 15%. So you're able to get whatever the hell you want. So this tells me immediately I want to be looking to leave a lot of salary on the table today. For one reason, we're able to get the highest priced captains on the slate at 85%. And we go to the flex and nothing crazy is in here. Like there's not like a $400 guy that's showing up at like 70%. This is very straight up. So if you are playing Knicks, if you are playing Sutton, leave a lot of salary on the table. Even if you're playing the other guys, you probably want to look to leave a lot of salary on the table. This just shows like the main takeaway for me for this dry run is how easy it is to build very good teams tonight. It's very easy. You're not sacrificing basically any positions at all to get the two highest priced captains. So that means everything is going to be very easy. If you go with a cheaper captain, that doesn't mean you're going to be different because all those teams are going to look the same. If you go a cheaper captain, you're going to get Knicks in there and you're going to get Sutton in there with ease. So you need to be looking to do things differently. It's just a very softly priced slate tonight.
Yeah, which I like that call though, because that's while you are kind of going to a similar type build, that's where you what you're hoping for, at least for what we all three of us just talked about, is that the Knicks Sutton captain owners are disappointed when they're only needed in the flex. And it's still a similar build, but it's like, oh, it ended up being Elijah Moore captain or Njoku captain, and we got it all fitting in that way, left some money, whatever it might be. So lots of different ways you can get unique with it. I saw in the chat, like Jordan mentioned, you could do stuff different if you do want to play someone like Knicks up top. You don't play him without Sutton in the flex, and instead go to like maybe throws one to Javonte, the kicker, the D are involved, and then the other way. So lots of other things that you can do with that. Title, did you have anything else you wanted to add at captain? If not, take us into some quarterback, and then if nothing else to add there based on the same conversation, you can go to running back.
Yeah, no, I think Hoop's last point about like the cheap captains not really needing it as much, and there's just a plethora of options that are mid-tier to cheap that I don't think like we're starving for value on like a Covey slate or stuff like that. So I don't love it as much. The cheapest I would go is Vile. I think that's how you pronounce it. I hope that's how you pronounce it. He's the cheapest I'd go, and I don't necessarily love him because, again, we're going to get to receiving room with the Broncos. I'm not confident in how that rotation is going to go outside of Sutton. But, yeah, moral of the story is I like spending up more at captains, and I think those Browns guys are where I'm going to be attacking most with Javonte Williams. You said take us into running back?
Well, I was going to say two things first because Hoop dipped out. So we made it 22 minutes, and he had to go again. So first off, there's that. Second of all, he can hear us probably, so it's good news. Second of all, you just said something there, but I don't want to lead into it. I want to get the chat. So let us know what you think the final score of this game is, who wins, what the score is. Start throwing your numbers in the chat. And yeah, take us into running back there, Title. Go ahead.
Yeah, running back. So Brown stuff is really easy in the fact of when they're playing from ahead and it's early downs and stuff, they want to get Nick Chubb involved. When they're trailing and the Broncos are up 2 touchdowns or something, it's Jerome Ford. You look at last week, Nick Chubb outsnapped them 38-20. They were leading that game. They beat the Steelers. Week prior, Jerome Ford outsnapped Chubb 41-22. They lost that game 35-14. Bye week prior, Ford 36, Chubb 28. They lost that game by a good amount, 27-10. So I feel very confident if you do think Browns win or they cover and it's a close game, I lean into Chubb more. If you think the spreads are out, right, Broncos lead more, I lean into Ford. At the end of the day, looking at it though, 29% flex for Chubb, 15% Ford. I think it's easy to get overweight on both of them and just you pick your game scripts. I don't love playing them both together, but because of the price, it's showdown, any random stuff can happen. So I'm not going to exclude that rule. But the running back room for the Browns, both of them under 30%, and it feels it's clear depending on which way the game goes. I'm definitely going to be playing that. And then you look into Chubb stuff even more. Price really close to Winston, Nix, Cortland Sutton as well. That'll keep him as a low-owned piece up top. Everyone's going to prefer both quarterbacks or Sutton. Other side with Broncos, I like Javonte. I pointed that out. The thing with Estime and McLaughlin is, they got to do something. They are up there by the kickers, the defenses. As you see in the flex ownership, it does keep their ownership down, or it will keep their ownership down. McLaughlin's my lean just because he got 20 snaps last week to Estime's 5, which was a change. The week prior, Estime outsnapped McLaughlin. So I'm just going to hope that trend continues. At the end of the day, though, I don't like either of those guys much, and it's pretty much going to be Chubb, Ford, Javonte, but I do like all three of them in the flex.
Do you see anything for weather at all, Title?
I did not. Let me
Just
look when
cold,
you
just really cold, low wind, so nothing crazy, just cold weather. No
Okay.
precipitation or anything.
Before I go to Hoop on running back, he already came through and let the chat know it was a little just too much chug into the water after the gym. So that's good. Keep yourself hydrated. But so Title, you said a point before I go to Hoop on running back. You said like something that led to me thinking like the game flow and the game script of it. And I feel like this is the case. And this just proved it now. Like 2 people have the under. Everybody else has 50 plus points in this game. I don't know about that. I really starting to like this slate a lot more than, if it is 27-24, there's lineups that can still get there when that happens. That means points got scored and guys can start to add up. But we definitely could get a game that's like 17-10 or something here. Like it's still Thursday night football. It's still the Browns and the Broncos. Anything can happen. And I think that's a little bit interesting. Hoop, do you have any thoughts on that or, anything you want to add there before you go into running back?
I think people are thinking, we saw the weather game last night and we know this is like a colder, part of the country. So people, we saw the Bills put up like 30, what did they score? 35 real life points. It could go either way. I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of people are saying the over. It's either like one extreme or the other, like way over or way under. I mean, who the hell knows? Like it's not gonna. I have no strong lean in regards to the over under on this game. So
do you do anything with your builds? I know like we talk a ton offline, obviously, but like I guess for this specifically, I talk about it all the time, building in sets, right? And I think you go back to like PGA DFS where it's like when there's a weather edge one way, but it's like it could get delayed. So sometimes you'll build for both sides. Yeah. Would you build anything for the under tonight just because a lot of people are looking at the over? Because that's where I think my lineups with Broncos D or the kicker or even like a Chubb or someone could start to make a little bit more sense if the game is a little bit lower scoring.
Yeah, I don't hate that move. I mean that's something that you'd have to obviously do hand building, or if you're building in sets, like you kind of build in sets. So if you're going to take 20 lineups or whatever and build for low scoring, yeah, you're going to want some defenses in there. Maybe these running backs where if they find the end zone once, it's good enough to be on the winner. So that sort of thing. So if you're hand building or building in sets, you can certainly do something like that for sure.
But before you go real quick, just want to show our guy Ty Sheps. If you go to the site, Shiptimizer tutorials, this is free for anybody to see, but you as a member specifically, go right there. Shout out to our guy Trisket. John gets the job done. Him and Newens put up these Shiptimizer specific tutorials, and you can check this one out right here and go watch it, and tells you everything you need to know for Showdown and be able to get yourself set up for success there. So just wanted to show that off. Go ahead, Hoop.
Yeah, in terms of the running backs, Nick Chubb to me is the worst play on the slate. So if people are looking for the Hoop, it worked out the worst game of the slate yesterday. It worked out quite well. These calls have been pretty on point recently. Like you did not need Seattle, you did not need the Jets. I said you can take the whole team, and that's going to be the Hoop shit on play of the day today. It's going to be Nick Chubb. He's just not good. 20 rushes last time out. I get the Steelers defense is good. He did end up on the winner because he fell in the box twice. It was 2 plays I remember where it's just like, okay, it's Nick Chubb inside the 5. Obviously, they're going to give it to him. He sucks. I'll have 0 Nick Chubb tonight, and I feel really good about it. But I will say, if you are playing him, I know Title kind of liked him a little bit, and that's fine. If you are playing him, I think the best way to play him is just put him in the captain and hope he gets 102 touchdowns. For me personally, like I just have 0 interest in Chubb.
I like the ownership. I don't necessarily like him, gun to my head, but I like what I'm seeing there.
Yeah, but he's gonna get a chunk in the flex for sure. Like people are gonna play him in the flex. I mean, probably over 30%. So for me, I would rather just get the ultimate leverage, just play him in captain, hope he falls into the box twice, because that's the only way he's going to be on optimal tonight. I mean, he fell in the box twice last game and got 19 fantasy points, like 59 total yards, 2 touchdowns. He's dust, man. He's just not very good. He can't move. So fade for me. That being said, like if I don't like him that much, I have to like Ford, and I do like Ford. A very good price tag on him at 44. So I'll be way overweight on Ford and fading Chubb. The Denver stuff, though, to me is tricky. I mean, they use 3 guys now: Javonte Williams, McLaughlin, Estime. It's difficult, and the price is down on Williams. I mean, 6,800 is cheap, but I'm not going to be forcing any of those guys in. Like these are going to be plays if they get in my lineups and it makes sense, I'm going to play them. I'm just not forcing in any of the Denver. So for me, by far, my favorite running back play is Jerome Ford, and it's not even close. Like, to me, Jerome Ford is in a tier of his own in terms of like how I'm looking at these running backs and how much I'm going to play them. Jerome Ford, and then like all those Denver guys, and then Nick Chubb in the garbage can at the bottom.
The garbage can at the bottom. So Nick Chubb is just not good. Hoop brother, those could be your last words. Has not been.
Guess what? I got some free reign because my calls, I'm like 5 straight on these calls. So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. The other thing you had yesterday you forgot about, they reminded me on the takedown breakdown earlier, was you also said, I never play Bryce Young. This is the first time in forever. And we always talk about you taking someone that nobody plays or is no good and then making them into something. Yeah. He was on the winning 555 milli maker yesterday and obviously had a really good day at $4,700. So yeah, that was the
calls have been good. Terry McLaurin yesterday. I mean, the calls have been spot on. So take it for what it's worth with the Nick Chubb. I get it if you like him, play him, but I think he's an awful play.
And it's what you said. I kind of like you framed it up. You had every angle covered for what your process is of if this, then that. You're like, if it's going to be him, you may as well just try him in the captain if that's for you, because he could just fall in twice and get 100 yards. You know that, but why waste 30% in the flex is what you're saying. And then if I'm not doing that, then why not get overweight on the guy that's $5,000 cheaper on the exact same team? And here's Billy Gableman, my boy, Stat ATL. What do you say? Chubb has no pass game work. He doesn't score. He's useless. Some recent running back results against Denver. Bijan sucked. Hunt sucked. Chuba sucked. They all sucked. Kamara, Brees. There you go.
I like that. Thanks for backing me up on that, because you know me, it's like all eye test stuff. I don't really have like numbers to back this shit up. And now my boy Billy came with the receipt, so I like that.
Back up Billy on the line.
Billy.
Title, you got some different thoughts? I know you said I like the ownership, but you weren't going as far as saying Nick Chubb sucks. But go ahead.
No, I talked running back, but I just, to be honest, someone brought it up. Like 3% Chubb in December. Like, to be honest, like, when we did it on Monday, it was the same thing. Who hated Chubb? I like Chubb. I'm not going to take the victory lap, but it literally could not be it could be the exact same. Flex, captain ownership, they were like this exact dogs. The total was similar. Like, it's the exact same thing. But what Hoop said, he does have to fall in the box twice. If you think this game goes under, though, like that Steelers game was a little under and he does fall in the box twice, that's what we saw. Like his 19-20 was captain winner because of that. So, yeah, I'm going to play it, but I agree with Hoop. My favorite running back play is Ford at price if it trails, he gets more snaps. You can leave 4K, 3K. Like, I'm definitely in agreement there. But I could see him getting a little steam. And I think Chubb has to be low owned due to his pricing and who's around him.
Yeah, and I don't know much to add it. I think you guys both covered it well, so I'll save it for wide receiver when we go into a second. But to Ross's point, this is certainly correct. But I mean, we're talking about Elijah Moore, Jamari Thrash, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Vile. Like, it's not like we got these murderers row of wide receivers.
Easy now.
Come on.
Easy.
You gotta get Marvin Mims Jr. Like, come on. These are, Sutton, Judy. I get it. There is thought process around. Somebody brought it up earlier, like Surtain on Judy. No, they said this is a little bit too deep in the weeds, but they said he knows the hip moves from practice. So he's going to know exactly what way and really shut him down. That one's a bit out there, but it could happen. He knows how he moves his hips. So, I'm sure he dreams about it every night, and then he just waited for this one game, and that's the moves that he remembers the most. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But Title, I'll stick with you. Let's talk wide receiver here.
I was actually hoping you're going to Hoop because it sounded like he had some hot takes on this Broncos stuff that I definitely don't. So can we switch it up and Hoop talk me into some of these dudes?
Yeah.
I like them all. You know that. I mean, there's no hot takes. I mean, to me, this is like perfect. When you look at the price tags, you look at everything on the slate. We're talking about leaving money on the table, probably like big chunks of money on the table. Like, this is the spot I want to be. And I love all these guys. On the Denver side, Sutton, Vele. I'm just going to call it Vele. I'm sure it's wrong. Mims, I'm good with. And you guys know, I mean, I finally get to say my guy's name, and I'm not shamed. Lil Jordan we should start calling him Big Jordan, because he is actually he does look pretty big out there, to be honest.
He's not big in anything,
but he looks bigger out there. If your name's Lil Jordan, right? Like, I want to look at that person and be like, dude, yeah, this guy's Lil. It makes sense. Like, he's not necessarily little. He looks somewhat bigger. So Big Jordan, we're calling him BJH. 3,200, definitely in on him. You got Troy Franklin at 3K. You got so they mix in a lot of different guys. So that's why I like these Bo Nix teams. it's going to be easy, not easy to get like unique, but to get something a little different. You can leave money on the table, have 5 different wide receivers that you can potentially play. And, all jokes aside, big Jordan Humphrey is the sort of play you want on these showdown slates. He gets looks down the field. I mean, he gets looks. He's gotten them all season. Unfortunately, the only one he's converted this year cost our guy the live final seat because he's missed every single one basically all year round.
Gosh.
But he gets the looks down the field. So definitely a guy that I want in those Knicks captains teams. And then Cleveland, I mean, you know what you're getting with Jameis throwing the ball. I mean, all these guys upside. Judy, Moore, and Thrash at 1,000 flat. I mean, Thrash is a guy, though, if you do start building these teams, he's going to start showing up pretty often because of the savings at 1K. So I am just in on all these guys. I prefer these guys over the running backs. I'm going to be wide receiver over running back almost across the board with the exception of Jerome Ford, who I really like. I think all these guys are clear, solid plays. No one you look at them like, oh, this guy's like super overpriced or anything. I think they're all appropriately priced. Playing all the wide receivers today.
Yeah, don't want to play a guy that you can just drop a letter and call him trash in his name because you can already see the posts on X and in Discords around the world about that. But just laughing my ass off over here at some of these like Reddits. I looked up Lil Jordan Humphrey. I was trying to find some stuff out, and it's his real name, first of all. But then it's like one of the dumbest names I've ever seen. Can you believe it? And then another person's like, contrary to what you may think, it's not. It's somewhat of a contradiction. At 6'4", 222 pounds, he is not what most would call little.
We got to call him big. Yeah, 6'4", 220.
Yeah, 6'4", 222, man. He's got it, man.
Big Jordan, baby.
So
BJ.
He doesn't deserve that. He does not deserve big.
Big.
Hey, he got there for my guy Frankie, FJ Bourne, in a big way that day. He took me out, but I will tell a quick little story about that because I know Frankie a lot, know him from the DFS streets. FJ Bourne, he's a really good dude. Met him at a bunch of finals, and we were texting back and forth about it. And I said, "You're a sicko, man. Like, that is so sick." He's like, "Just so you know," he goes, "I feel bad, but I haven't made it to the NFL live finals for the last 4 years." And he goes, "And you know how much I play in those qualifiers, so I don't feel as bad." And I said, "No, I hear that because it's expensive, man, chasing those seats." And so you never know when your turn is going to flip, but that makes it, feel a little bit better on the other side. He's been going through the same bad beats and hits along the way. So it happens, right? It's part of the game. But back to these wide receivers. Title, over to you. We got the hoop hot takes is that basically all we got out of him is that Lil Jordan should be called big. But go ahead.
Not according to Ross. I do like this one.
That's what I was about to say. It's in the pants. It might not be big. Shout out Ross. And shout out FG Bourne. I always love seeing his down. Well, I don't love seeing him lose money in his downswing grass, but he is one of the few to actually post
transparent guy. Yeah,
to post that insane of the swings and stuff. So that's the GPP life for you.
Yeah.
I mean, Browns. I'm only going Judy, Moore, Thrash. Again, when Tillman went down, it was all Thrash. I'm not messing with any of those other guys, so that's easy. Broncos side, definitely not easy. And yes, I mentioned a couple times, but I am definitely on the lookout for Josh Reynolds, and if he's active today. Not that I really necessarily want to play him, but it would make me like all these dudes even less. I'm unlike Coop. I prefer the running backs over these Broncos receivers. Now I have to play them because of their price. They all will rotate, which is why I don't like it a lot. I think I'd rank them Franklin, Lil, Mims. And the reason for that is Mims, literally almost all of his targets are at the line of scrimmage and just like quick screens, and he has to break it. He is explosive, but he also had the least amount of snaps compared to them. It went Sutton by far number 1, Vile 2, which is why I like him, but he's priced in his own tier. And then it went Lil Jordan 3, Franklin 4, Mims 5. I'm going to assume that continues. So I guess Franklin and Humphrey are pretty close for me. It's just he's been so bad outside of that 1 week. And it's a bit at this point. I can't say Lil Jordan, so I'm going to go Franklin. And I think he'll be a little lower owned. And I'm going to maybe play a little.
You can't say Lil, but you can't say Lil, but you can say big.
No. Maybe if he wins me some cheese, I'll call him big. Mims, I think if Reynolds is active, I feel like it would hurt him most, but maybe not because he's only on the field like 15 snaps a game anyway, and some of them are like designed for him. So maybe that would hurt Lil Jordan and Franklin more. Again, it's a lot of guesswork. Hopefully he's not active. I would like these guys a little more. But yeah, I think we're going to get to some of these tight ends like Aikens and Kroll and stuff. and I'm going to prefer them. I definitely prefer Ford. If I'm leaning under, kind of like when we're talking about, the more we talk about, the more I am. I think this game can play out on the ground a bit. Kickers I prefer. So, yeah, I'll be mixing them, but I think max of one, and I'm not in love with it. And I'm going to be underweight Bo Nix captain teams, which I think, as Hoop mentioned, though they are best suited, multiple of them, when you are going Bo Nix captain. So, yeah, I don't love it. I like Brown stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Brown side for sure. I was going to say that right away. And then on the other, like, this is the thing. It's going to be, you got Mims, Humphrey, Franklin, all at the same price pretty much, give or take a couple $100, and the thought of the Reynolds stuff coming back. So it's like, as Lee said in the chat, it just muddies it up a bit more. It just makes it tricky. And you've still got Akins, who we'll get to in a second. And you've got Krull, who you mentioned on this other side. And then also, like me, just comfortable flipping the build to have some of these mid-range captains or cheaper captains that you can get the Nixes and Suttons of the world in the middle and leave some money on the last receiver or something like that. So I don't know. I think it's going to be tricky, but I feel like it's just going to be straight up for me. It's going to be mostly Judy, Moore, Sutton, spin the wheel on the Broncos side, and probably try and avoid the Browns backups and stuff like that. And I'm kind of, the more the slate goes on, the more I see the chat, the more things get talked about. I just start to like the builds that will have money left over on the table with the lower owned captain, and try and play it more straight up. And maybe we see like a 17-14 type of game here or something like that, or someone 20-14 or something along those lines, where I feel like I'd have a better chance getting to it that way. And Sean called him out, man, because Jordan Newens came in and said I'm bigger than you're bigger than 6'4",
6'4", 220.
I don't know, Newens. I know you were hitting the gym and you were posting those pics in the Discord, but man, I don't know, 6'4", 222. That's still a pretty big boy, man. So we'll have to see. Hoop, anything else?
The weigh-in video, Hoop. We need the weigh-in video from Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Title have been exchanging weigh-in videos after our workouts. So we got to get Jordan. We got to get a group chat with Jordan so we can validate
right now. What do we got? Hoop, you were out busting out the shirtless shoey the other day. Seen a little bit of weight in the chest hair.
Title knows exactly. Yeah, Title saw it. Title saw it.
Any guess for Hoop? How much he weighs?
How much does Hoop weigh? I'll say 185.
Money.
Dead
184,
on.
I think, was the video.
Dead on 185. I weighed myself today as 185.0.
And what is it? 6'2", 6'1"? How tall are you?
6'3", 185.
String beans, 184.
Toss Title's ass around. Title's trying to gain weight, so Hoopster doesn't toss his ass around.
Listen, I'm the shortest guy of the bunch. I don't care. It's funny. I've been around Hoop plenty of times. He the way he said 6'3" means 6'2", but I just heard Lil Jordan was 6'4", so I'm adding an inch to that thing. I'm 6'3" now, he said. I'm getting up there. Title, what were you in at? You're up to 176.
182, I think, was the video I sent.
Oh, he's picking it up steam, boys. Title's been putting it on.
He's trying.
He's
trying.
trying.
Right? 6'1", 6
foot. 6 foot.
6 foot. You're too. So a couple of ballers over there. You guys got our breakdowns now. So yeah. I got a 5'9" on a good day. And
Hoop just keeps talking to himself. What do you got, Tambo?
5'9" on a good day. And what's my weight? What's my weight at now?
You are 167.
No, you've been around me more than that. I'm bigger than that. Come on.
Yeah, but I know you've been grinding.
He's trying to be nice.
I like
that.
He says this, and he's like, "Oh no, you look like you're 30." No, he knows she looks 42, but he called her 30 just to be nice. No, that's all good. I appreciate it, but I am down right now. I'm at 184 right now.
184, okay.
I've been working it. We've been in the gym. We've been drinking the waters like Hoopster and eating right. So that's really what it's all about. But we got our break in. Baby
was 181.5.
181.5.
181.5.
All right.
I had another one. I had 186, but then I stepped and I was going to send it to because I said I fluctuate. And the next thing it said 184.2. I'm like, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, get a new scale.
New and
nice. That thing did look nice though.
5'10", 200. He says I'd put it on him though. Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
So he said he's bigger than a dude that's 6'4", 225, all muscle. Sounds like something
Lil Jordan say. Or not Lil Jordan, big Jordan Newens. They're both Jordan. His whole picture, he has some big arms in his picture. He got
all arms, buddy's all arms.
Yeah.
Let's tighten the show back up. Let's tighten it up with tight end, and we'll move on with that segment. Hoop, I'll go to you. Talked a little bit about Njoku. Title brought up Krull on the other side. Mayo's boy, my homie Mayo loves his little Lucas Krull. And then you got Akins over on the other side too. Troutman. I mean, there's guys you could mention here, but I think it's really going to come down to Njoku and then what you do from there. So go ahead, Hoop.
I knew Big Nades was going to get so excited about this conversation, talking weight and muscle. Like, man, I can't wait to hear what he has next. He's taking a shot at Jordan right out of the gate. He's probably coming for hoops.
He's off the wagon right now. Anyway, he's in the Discord every night. He got gummies and Wingstop and seltzers and you name it, man. We got to get Nades back on track here, man.
You're a German. Long way to go, Newens. You ain't 185.
Yeah, Nate's in a different weight class, but he's got muscle. Nate does have muscle. But like I said, and I tell him every time, Hoop will still toss his ass around. Doesn't matter how much muscle he has. Tight end, it's just going to be Njoku and Akins. I'm not messing with these other dudes. Like, I want the wide receivers over Kroll and Troutman. It seems like TD or bust type plays. Njoku, Akins, way more volume. Akins at 2,400, I think is really solid value, especially if you think that the Broncos are playing from behind today. So I'm in on Njoku, Akins. I'm going to be out on the Denver guys most likely. And if I do play the Denver guys, it'll be very, very small percentage just to make it all work.
Takedown said he's the guy in his AI avatar there. That's him next to the lion. He's the guy. And we always got the receipts, Sean. That's what it's all about, man. Just having some fun with the crew. It's the best community going. Just get in there, check it out. ShipItNation.com. Get into the community. There's a lot of fun in there. But Nade's always posting the food channel, what's been going on. And he's out with the lady having these like big ass steaks and glasses of wine and everything.
Yeah, surf and turf he posted the other day. Yeah, he's in the eats now. He's on the eats side.
He has been in the winner's circle a lot lately too. So you get that money coming in and rolling through. Next thing you know, you're spending it on the goods. You're making yourself, reward yourself a little bit. So you love to see it, Nades. Keep crushing, my man. Tight end for you. You mentioned the Krull stuff. So give me the Lucas Krull thoughts and then take us from there.
Well, yeah, I will say, Nades probably can bench Hoop and I combined. He definitely got some pipes on when he gets on that bench.
He is big.
One of my favorite stories of Nades, and this will be quick and we can get right back on track, is when we first started at Ship and Nation. It was very early on. We were doing a team meeting, and it was on Zoom, and sent everyone the link, and it was one of the first meetings for sure. And Big Nades couldn't be interrupted at his gym session. He's in there doing his tricep pull downs. He's doing the curls. He's got the cutoff on just so everyone knows that he's got, the big muscles and whatnot. But again, long story short, Nades, I'll still toss your ass around.
Yeah. Lil Jordan will toss, or Big Nade's tossing Lil Jordan around too. But tight end, the thing with Lucas Krull and Troutman and all them, like, do I love it? No, but I could see like Krull's ownership compared to Lil Jordan, compared to Mims, all that. Again, these guys aren't really owned too much either, but he's cheaper. These guys might be on the field relatively the same. And again, game log has been so bad. 5%, maybe 6%. Just who else is in his range down there? You were comparing him to, really nobody down there. The Thrash is definitely a better play, but if you go pivot Thrash to Krull or Troutman, that's a way you can get way, way different. It's really hard to make a case outside of like these guys are good. They get targets. Not really. They're on the field and you need checkdowns. Brown side, though, I think Akins is a great play, and so is Njoku. Like, they love Akins. What was the snaps last week? Didn't he fall in the box, if I'm not mistaken? On the showdown, 41%. He had a couple goal line catches or got him down there for Chubb, but maybe it was just that. They use him. He can high point the ball. He's athletic. He's right in the range of Lil Jordan, Franklin, Mims, all them. I do like Akins more than the rest of them. So, and I'll be playing Njoku.
Yeah, I like the call too. The Thrash one, like similar price point. If your lineup, it's probably gonna make sense either way, just to roll it to a guy like Krull. And again, the reason I like it, and that stood out to me while I want to get your take, is because again, I think for some of my builds where I'm building for the lower score, what if it is just like 2 catches and one of them's for a touchdown? We haven't needed that a lot this season, but it's because we've also had more scoring in these games, right? We've had the ability for these guys just to get there, so that could definitely be a thing. Takedown, you always post the receipts right in the NFL channel. Tag the boys up. We'll verify and let the people know if it's accurate or if you're just playing a character, an AI character. But I believe you. I'll put it on record. I believe you, Takedown. So you throw your receipts in there. We'll check them out. I got nothing else to add at tight end. I like the Akins call, 2,400, and just made me think too, Title, when you said it. Like if you have Thrash and someone between Franklin, Mims, Lil Jordan, something like that, and you flip it, you can have Akins and Krull, and it's 2 tight ends, but it's just, you don't know for sure that these wide receivers are going to get there just because there's some injuries and they're cheaper. It's these other guys could get there just as well. So I certainly think that would be my thought process on it anyway. Hoopster, kickers and Ds, man, your favorite. Kickers and Ds. We got some good ones tonight, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's a situation, though, where the Broncos get inflated again. I mean, 5,400. They're favored by like 6 at home. Jameis is going to throw the ball all over the place, so there's opportunity for turnovers, and I think people do realize that. We're showing 21. I think it's going to be closer to 30. And the last show we did, everything was showing 30. We thought it would get closer to 40, and I think that was the case. So I'm guessing closer to 30 for the Broncos. And I'm going to play them. I'm not going to fade them, but I won't be anywhere close to what they actually come in at. Browns, yeah, if I get some, I get some. Kickers, Lutz, Hopkins. Definitely prefer Lutz, but the one thing is, this is in altitude, so there's some opportunity for some longer kicks. Do want to pull up and see how the boys have been doing here. Lutz was 5 for 5 last game, so they're willing to take some kicks. 18, 13, 16, so he's been 13 or better 4 times this season. So that's definitely something I'm interested in. Hopkins, it's always going to be a little less interest in the road team. Barely not anything for Hopkins this season. So he's got a 12, and a 13, but he's had some real stinkers along the way. They're going to be, if they're down, they're going to be aggressive. They'll be aggressive with Jameis. So much prefer Lutz over Hopkins. The ownership difference we're showing, got Hopkins at 14, so we're showing like a 5 or 6% ownership difference. I still like Lutz a lot more than Hopkins. Mm-hmm. I'll get some Denver defense, probably not as much as the field, and then whatever I get on the Browns defense, which I hope is not a lot, I'll just roll with that.
Yeah, and leaving some of that stuff behind almost goes in with your Nick Chubb stuff earlier. Like, yeah, it's not like he's crazy on, but if he's 30 in the flex and you're, not as high on Hopkins, who's 15 in the flex, and Brown's D just gets played because people play it. And funny enough, the other thing is like a Hopkins and Chubb probably won't get jammed together as often because in most cases it's going to be like if the running back's doing the work, they're not kicking all. So you could be alleviating yourself from just a lot of situations you're not interested in by doing that, Hoop. So I like that call out there. Lutz for sure. I have interest. Broncos. I hate when they get to, because I think you're right. And they're going to get to like 30. That's why I said earlier, if they're like 30 in flex, but 1 or 2 in captain, that's when I like those builds in my sets, just to have some of those where I'm like, it's almost like the Chubb thing the other way. Instead of just wasting it in flex with everybody else, I'm trying to get it up top.
Not a pee break, but I'll be right back.
All good. Title, your thoughts, kicker and D?
Agreement with Hoop. Mainly, I prefer Broncos stuff. Both kickers' defenses over Brown stuff, but little stuff like if I'm hand building, I don't love like the Nick Chubb Broncos pairing as much as I like Jameis Broncos pairing, because when Broncos D fully gets there, Jameis is slinging it almost every play. They're playing from behind. Close games when they mix in the run more, it does limit Broncos upside a little bit. You want them to pin their ears back. So that was a little thing I thought of, and then just broad slate, like both kickers are going to get some ownership. Broncos D definitely will. And when you look at pricing, who's in between all them? It's the running backs. It's Ford, it's Estime, it's McLaughlin. Like, that's a tier right there that I like. If one of those, if you like Estime, McLaughlin, Ford will get a little more ownership. That looks like where you can get different. Drop Lutz down to one of them. Drop Broncos D down to one of them. Save some money. You give up some projection. If it tells a game script, though, those Ford, Estime, McLaughlin looks like they have to be relatively low owned. And as a pivot. So that's really all I got. I prefer Broncos stuff, though, Lutz and Deef.
Yeah, and don't forget what you just said. The good point there that I thought was really solid was don't forget about playing Jameis at captain with the Broncos D in the flex. Yeah. That's the one. We've seen it work out with other quarterbacks. It can definitely work out with Jameis. I mean, that's the perfect spot. It's not saying it's sneaky as much as just not forgetting it. Like, that's certainly a thing that you can do tonight. I don't have too much else to add. I agree sort of with what Hoop was saying. And then I think also too, just like I said, the only difference for me is I mentioned earlier at captain, I'll have some builds that just flip it a little bit that way. Hoop is back. We'll get him to do the FanDuel segment. They said, did you have to go piss again, or was someone on your lawn?
No, this is someone. Yeah. So it is again, it's going to be a quick story about the lawn. So they removed that tree in the front yard, and it leaves like a huge mound, obviously, in the front yard. So they're here to remove the huge mound. The problem is the neighbor parked right in the street, right in front of it. man, it'd be tragedy if they can't get this big mile. Oh, she's moving her car. Yes. All right. We're good to go. We're back on track. That's huge. All right. FanDuel pulling it up. Actually, is that where we're at? FanDuel?
Yeah, FanDuel's good. Yeah.
So the pricing is actually not super soft. I mean, Bo Nix 16.5, Jameis Winston 15K, Sutton 14K, Chubb 13, and Njoku 12. So considering what we've seen on some of these other slates, it's actually not that bad in terms of the pricing. Nix is going to be very popular, I'd imagine, up top, and then I assume Jameis will be right behind him with the two quarterbacks that people want to play. Sutton at 14K won't be as popular, but you could kind of go a little reversal. I think you nailed it. It was like on that Rams slate where you said you kind of want those pass catchers up top because no one plays them, and it worked out. I think it ended up being Puka that you needed up top. So Sutton's going to be popular on DK, but probably not as popular on FanDuel because of the price, the way it's set up, and people playing those quarterbacks. I think he's somewhat interesting in that situation. Judy 11K, Moore 10K. The Nick Chubb stuff, I'm just probably going to stick with it on FanDuel. I would be more prone to play him on FanDuel over DK at 13,000 flat, but I still will be probably under on him in terms of like cheap plays. Jerome Ford at 8K, I think is very solid. Broncos defense 9,500. They'll get some ownership. Aiken 7K flat. I think he's a really solid play. And I mean, I have to obviously mention this. Our guy Will Jordan all the way down at 6'5", Big Jordan 6'5", like definitely in there. Thrash 5'5". So we have a lot of cheap options here that are in play. So, but I'll say pricing, I think much better on FanDuel than on DK.
Yeah, what about this title? Like Ford with Denver defense as well, I think it's fine, right? Like he's just going to be a check down guy, and then you already had it. There you go.
Yeah, no, I think that makes
behind on the YouTube chat. Yeah, so I was going to bring that up, but our current ownership, just of note too, does show that Sutton's going to still get the ownership and not Winston. But again, this is the first run. We'll see how it actually updates later. I think people still like to play the quarterbacks no matter what. To Hoop's point, they're not going to feel good about Chubb.
Yeah,
they're not going to be interested in the Denver running back. So I think like it'd be Sutton, Javonte, Jameis Winston, like on FanDuel, all those guys I'd be fine with, and just moving it around that way. And if you want to get Sutton up top there, I think if his comes down and Winston goes up, you might find a little balance in the middle. So another thing I've noticed, just doing more of a deep dive, so I don't just always have to say it sucks over there, is there has been more like 62K chops and stuff lately. Yeah. When I dig into it, it's just lineups that make perfect sense, but leave like $7,000 on the table.
That's
right?
What it is. Massive amounts of money on the table. Like the guy last night, I think solo shipped, and I don't know exactly what it was, but he left a ton of money. Played like Ray Davis, played I can't remember who.
Allen, probably.
Yeah, and then it was all like cheap dudes after that, and then I think it's solo shipped, which it was
like that. But like last night, I guess because of an injury slate. But even the other night it was 62K or something. It was all 5 guys that people were playing. Like there was no like sneaky like diamond in the rough play, but it was a wide receiver captain with a quarterback with another pass catcher on the team, and then the other side had like a quarterback and wide receiver 4. And that's what left the money. Clearly, instead of wide receiver 4, they could have went all the way up to wide receiver 1, but they just left the 7,500 on the table. So the lineup made perfect sense.
Yep.
If one person beats one person and the rest of the night goes that way. And I know it's not easy to pinpoint it. I'm just saying it looks like there's a lot of opportunity for that. I think people with the pricing, even when it's not soft, like tonight, I agree with you, Hoop, it's not super soft, but it's still easy to get to a lineup that makes sense, right? Like you can easily just fill your money out and use it all.
Yeah, I'm just reading these comments back about someone walking. It's actually pretty true. It was someone fucking with my lawn, essentially. I mean, long story short, and got to protect that shit. So that's true. But I think that is the key. Like when you build if you're anywhere close to the 60,000, you're going to be splitting in a big way. You have to leave like massive chunks, and it's not 500 or 1,000. Like you got to leave a lot of money on the table on FanDuel because, like you said, it's lineups that make sense, but no one's getting there because when you build, you're never just gonna be able to push yourself to leave that much on the table. So I agree. I think there's opportunities on FanDuel. The format's not ideal, but like it's clear people that solo ship or really limit the number of duplications leave massive amounts on the table.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the best part. If you're playing one lineup and you just throw one in over there, it's perfect. Set it up to make sense. and leave money on the table. You're giving yourself a better chance. If you're still telling a story and it makes sense to you, that's definitely the way to play it than just to throw it in to hit the winner and chop it up for $700 or $1,000 or whatever that might be. Title, any extra thoughts from you or final thoughts on this slate before we get out of here?
No, yeah, you guys covered it well. And like, I could see Bo Nix. It's hard. FanDuel doesn't have historical data, which makes like reverse engineering ownership harder. But like, I could see Bo Nix being 55% today, Jameis being 25%. You play anyone but those two, you can get different that way. And then leaving money. Why can't Jerome Ford outscore Nick Chubb today and there's 5K in a game script? Why can't Thrash outscore Elijah Moore? Like, does it happen often? No. But a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 1, and the guy that stole a shift yesterday, he can lose for years straight and still be in the green. When you win, how much do you win? So that's all I got. It looks like also FanDuel, the running backs, will be a little lower owned, just like DraftKings. So, yeah, I'm excited for the slate. I do think it is a pretty good one.
Yeah, I like that call too. This is the one. We tried to get to 10K on 1K videos. That was the spin. On 1K videos, we're just under 9,000. So if you guys can do us a favor, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That's the key. Once you get in there, you're all set to go.
Hit that refresh. Hit that refresh, bud.
Did we hit it?
Just got to refresh that puppy.
Oh, baby. 9K. So that means that the giveaway, let me go to that right quick. We got it up here. Yeah, this is what we're giving away. Let's do it on the next show. We'll do it on the Thursday show. Are we back? What do we got Thursday this week? Yeah, Thursday night.
Lions, Packers, me versus title. Let's go.
Oh baby.
Wisconsin.
I needed after those Ravens looked awful yesterday. But hey, long season.
But we'll give it away. That's perfect time to give it away. So 6-month, $549 package, the all access with Optimizer, Shiptimizer. You can check it out there. If you guys want to get it on the football package right now, we left it turned on. So $99 rest of season, including all the playoffs, all the Christmas slates, the showdown slates, Super Bowl, everything. If you want to add Shiptimizer, it's just $30 more. So basically $10 more a month. And that covers your NFL stuff for Classic and Showdown. And if you do have college football in your state, college football projections, Stone, Core Report, Player Pool, Discord, everything comes with these rest of season packages. They are football packages, not just NFL. And then if you are looking for something that's more all access, you play NBA, you play other sports, use the code BF50 and then go over here and it's under all access. $34.50 for the month or $49.50 for the first month with Shiptimizer access. Hoop, final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, yeah, definitely check this out if you're not a member. I mean, the most affordable prices in the industry by far. We'd love to have you. Discord access, everything you need to be successful at DFS and become a better player. So head on over, check it out. If you are playing tonight, good luck in your contest. Let's continue to build on this momentum. It was a big week. Let's finish strong tonight. Get those SHIPIT Nation logos to the top.
Yeah, if you want to get the logo, we showed you out too. And then good question here. Yeah, Steven, no, this is a big time appreciation giveaway from everybody that supports us all along the way to this channel, watching the free shows, hitting the like button, having the fun and listening to us spew garbage about how much we weigh and whatnot and making fun of each other. It's just always a good time on here. And we appreciate everyone. If you are a member and you win it, it just gets tacked on to whatever. So if it's your, instead of your next 6 payments, or if you were only on a monthly, it gets you now 6 months for free on top. Like it's going to be able to be given away to whoever. And we'll make sure that we come up with something for Thursday. We'll have it all covered for you guys. Remember, on Thursdays is the Mayo Media Network. So that's the only one caveat to that. But Green Bay, Detroit, not a better game with these two guys on here to give it away. So I'm excited for that. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Excited for tonight, for Hoop, for Title, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.